Hey, Dave here, Fix and Fly RC. Hey, it's been a little while since I've been able to post anything. Had a couple of rebuilds that I was doing. My F4 took a little bit of damage, so it's been on the bench for a while, and just some other things. So today's video, I want to talk a little bit about repairing a control surface, a aileron or rudder or elevator or something. And if you fly much, my guess is sooner or later, for one reason or another, you will end up, and I'll show you close up, you'll end up with a control surface that ends up getting broke. And the question is, well, how do you repair those? You know, what's the best way, the safest way, the most efficient way? On my old A10 here, I actually had a landing gear come unglued on a landing, and ended up having to take it up and do a belly landing. A friend of mine was flying the plane. But I have another A10 that I bought off Marketplace, same plane, just a little newer. Had it at the flying club a few weeks ago at an event, and was just rolling it out to the taxiway, and had one of the gear just come unbonded, just taxiing. So that's one of the things I did a video a while back, but about having to check everything. But it's just one of those things. Sometimes these bond joints and glue joints are really not good. But anyway, on this one, landing gear came loose on landing, took it back up, raised the gear, and then just belly landed it into a football field near where we were flying at the time. And so really no damage to the plane other than the rudder broke loose, so we'll have to repair that. So the question is, well, how do I fix that? And what is a method for doing that? So there's several options you have for doing that. So let me bring the camera in a little bit, and let's talk about it. Okay, so there are like three probably different options that you can use to fix a broken hinge, and in this case, the rudder surface. So one of my easier ones, and probably a go-to, especially in the field repair, was going to be this Blendoderm. It's a medical tape, and you can buy it on Amazon, and it's a very thin tape, very strong. You probably don't know if you can see it, but it really works well. You have to cut it with a knife, and what you're going to want to do with that. So first thing you're going to do is when one of these break, you'll see the old hinge. It gets kind of rough there, and what I'll do is, especially if I'm at home, but I'll get me just a little, like in this case, a box cutter knife blade, and I'll just kind of clean those edges up, smooth them out a little bit, and I'll do a little bit better job here, but you can see what I'm trying to do. Smooth that out a little bit, get all those rough edges off. Now, if you're going to do the tape, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rotate, get the servo all the way. You're going to want to rotate the surface as far one direction. So if it's an elevator, as far up as it can go down, you want to start in that direction. And then what you want to do is, in this case, what I'm showing you, we'll do it this way. Be a little easier, sorry. So we got it turned as far in as you can that way. And what you want to do is you're going to lay the tape down, and you don't want to do it when it's zeroed out or smooth, because what will happen is the tape will go one direction. On one side of the tape it'll move because the tape will collapse inside the hinge, but it won't go the other way because you've gotten it too tight. And so what you're going to want to do is turn it all the way one way, and then start on one surface, right? and then take you something, you know, if you've got a something like this, you want to start on the, not on the sharp side, something, and you'll just kind of work it down in the groove on one side of the groove, kind of work it back through on the other side of the groove, and then finish up on the other side of the surface. And see what that'll do is, because now you're in the groove, it's going to have material to work with. And then you'll just do the, you'll rotate it the other side, kind of do the same thing on the other side. And so now you've got tape on both sides of the hinge, and it's going to allow it to move. So that's great for an infield repair kit. If you want, it'll be permanent if you want to, because more than likely when you try to peel that tape off, it's going to peel the paint back off with it, because you know the paint and tape on these foam planes just don't play well together. So that's one way you can fix it. The other way you can fix it, and I apologize, I have to grab my stuff here, is I've seen people use like something like foam tack. This tube's about gone. It's one of my go-to glues for repairing planes, especially the foam planes. It doesn't dry hard, it stays flexible, and it actually allows you, if you have to get in there again to do something, you can actually, it's easier to cut loose. So this is what I use mostly when things are completely in two pieces. I have a different glue that I use, not that it need it for here, but I use this, it's called Bob Smith Industries Craft Glue. It's this blue bottle. It's more of a liquid, and it's really great for if you've got something that's cracked and you just want to like put some glue and hold it together. It's thinner, and so it works better than that. This will work too, but you just got to get it in the groove. But anyway, if you want to use this, kind of the same principle though, but you would just put you a bead of glue down where the hinge line is, you know, then you'll get it set, you know, in the center, and you know, if it's zero like that, probably we'll want to put some tape or something just to hold it in place while it dries. For something like this, I definitely give it a good 24 hours before I went and try to fly anything. But like I said, this foam tack cures flexible, and so it will allow, now you don't, you know, if you filled up the whole groove, it won't, you know, then you can't just fill it up. You know, it has to be a thin line in there to allow to be like a hinge. But effectively, it would be like the, you know, foam hinge here that has failed. So the other, and this is probably, you know, the better way to go, are their nylon hinges. Now, I have two sizes. I have a small one, and this is probably what I'm going to fix this plane with, because it's going to be more than enough. So there's a small one. I'll show you how to put that in a minute. But if you got bigger surfaces, they make bigger hinges as well. This is a much bigger one. No, the small one already has a pin in it, and the bigger one you would just have to put the pin in. Once you get them together, you probably could, you know, put the hinges in on both sides, you know, and then, you know, put it together and put the pin in if you have room. Not, you can pin it together and glue it together like you would do a small one. Doesn't matter. So for this fix, I'm going to be using my small hinges, and I'm kind of an overkill guy, so you probably could get by with one on the top and one on the bottom. I will probably do one in the, you know, in the mid, you know, divided in thirds. I'll probably put 3 in there, probably way more than it really needs, but while it's apart and got it together, you know, one more hinge is not much work. So that'll be my method for fixing this plane. Now, the thing is going to be, now how do you put the hinges in? How do you install them? Well, it's really not complicated. There's a really simple way. Of course, you know, one thing you'll want to mark it, you know, where you want it, so you know where it goes, and then you'll take here, and I haven't taken this. I got to take the screw out to take this hinge off, so I'll have to take this off. But what you'll do is when you find the place that you want it, and where you mark, you kind of mark, where it's going to be. Just take like one of these box blades knives, and you can just go right in the center, and just start putting a little slot in there, and as big as the hinge is, and of course you'll need it as deep as it is, and just shove it in there, and then do the other side. And before you do any gluing, do you a dry fit. So get all 3 of them installed and get a good dry fit, so that it's going to work. You'll probably even want to rotate it around a little bit. Once you are comfortable with all of them, then you can. I usually glue one side in, and you don't have to let it cure. And then I'll go through and put the glue on the other hinges and just slide them in together and get that fit. So that's how I would do that. And this is the way with foam. I've always used this. Now, I bought a few balsa planes that I was working on, and I had to put some hinges in it. And of course, that doesn't work with balsa wood. So I haven't tried it this yet. I think I'm actually going to try it with this plane, but it's a hinge slot kit. And the way these works is there's a this little triangular thing here, and there's these little plastic pieces on here. So depending on the size of the hinge, there's 3 different sizes of these little cutting tools, and this little plastic piece that goes in here, it just slides on top of this thing that looks like a trapezoid, and it's the same size as this tool. And the way it works is you get it where you want the hinge to go, and you just fit it up against the piece that you want the hinge on, and so it centers it. And then you just take your tool, and I'm not going to do it yet because I haven't marked it, and you just take your tool and you put it into that little slot, and you just cut you a groove deep enough. And then it actually comes with this little digger tool, has a little knot on the very end, and you can go in there and just kind of clean out any material to make room for your hinges. So I have never used this before, and so I'm going to give it a shot on this one. And so I'm going to get this rudder off here so I can work on this a little bit better, and we'll come back and see how this works. So I went ahead and tried the slaughter cutter that's actually made for balsa wood on this, and quite honestly, really it was more trouble than it's worth. I put it in there, then had to try to dig it out, and it actually took a little bit of time. So what I ended up doing is just taking my box cutter knife, and because of the taper, it's going to be a little bit bigger than you need, but when I cut my slot, then did my little dry fit there. So I got my 2 hinges. So the way I did it, so I've already got it marked where I want it, and I got it in the center. So I'm just going to go just a little above that. Don't drop it. I do the sharp edge one way, and then I kind of do it the other way. You're going to get a little deeper in when you need, but you're going to fill that up with glue anyway. And then you're going to take your next slot, your next hinge, and I didn't go quite deep enough, so it's always easy to go deeper if you need it, and make sure you get it wide enough. So just make it a little bit bigger, and there we go. So I got my 3 hinges in there. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up here, get my marker. I've already cleaned up the ends there, and I'm just going to kind of make a little mark the length of the hinge. right there. Turn this where I can get to it a little bit better. All right, I can clearly see my marks. So I will make my matching hinge line marks there. Of course, you can. It's easy to find the center because you've got where the old hinge was. So center's easy. So I'm sure I got that one deep enough. Okay. All right. I usually kind of, the way I kind of do this, I'll just pick one end, put that one in, put that one in. Put that one in. One thing I noticed, I got it off just a little bit, and I guess I got in a little bit of hurry, so I'm gonna have to raise it up just a tad because it's a little too low. But what you can see now, I clearly have a hinge that's working now, and so I'm gonna fix this where it lines up better. That was just me being too big of a hurry, and the rudder was up. Okay, so let me fix this and then we'll come back and get it glued in. Okay, so I got it fixed where it fits just like I like it. So now I'm going to start the gluing process. So actually I'm going to use this glue. I've turned it upside down because the bottle was getting pretty empty. And so just so it ran down. So what I'll do is I'll just pull one of my hinges out. I'm gonna put a little glue on there. I'll do both sides. I also try to get the holes filled up. Now you got this is an instant set. It sets pretty fast. So because I want to make sure everything fits together before it dries, so we'll go pretty fast here, but get some glue on that one. Now it is flexible, but I do try to keep the glue out of the hinge, just so you don't have to overcome that the first time that you so now I've got the glue on the 3 hinges there. So now we're going to go ahead and put the glue on the mating hinges or the other side. Glue's where I can work on it a little bit. Get some on that side. I'll flip over. The one thing is that you don't have to put it all the way up against the rudder, because when you push it in, it's going to push that glue up anyway. So it's already going to get there. Okay, so put your lid on good or it'll dry. All right, so as we were just talked about. You see it's already starting to get stringy. Put that one in there. That one goes there. That one goes there. We're gonna push it up a little bit. Okay, so now I've got it nice and level, and you can see, and I've got just a little bit of glue in the hinge line there. So what I'm just going to, I got an old rag here that I use. I'll just take some of that excess glue off there. Let's see if we got any on the other side. Just a little bit. And if you remember, I was talking about having, you know, you could use flexible glue anyway. All right, so, all right, we're just gonna let that set up, and then I'll reattach my control arm. And we now have a full hinge repair, and this clearly is much stronger than what we had, so it'll have to be a bad wreck for that one to come loose. But anyway, so hope that helps. You eventually, like I said, in this, if you do this for long, I don't know of anybody yet that hasn't broken a hinge at some point. I'm sure there's some really, really good pilots that will have 200-300 flights on their planes, and I've seen ones like they don't have any road rash, they don't do anything. So, you know, unfortunately, I think they're the unicorns and probably not the norm. It's just kind of hard not to occasionally bang one up or something happen, like, you know, like I said, in this case, one of the gear retracts, you know, just came unglued. And it really, when we looked at it, just had a couple little spots of glue. It's amazing it held up as long as it did. So anyway, and I didn't mention it, but just FYI, this was a marketplace find, and my other one was a marketplace find. And so, you know, this one definitely had a life when I got it. It had been beat up a little bit, so who knows how many landings it would have. I'm fixing to repaint this one, and I'm doing a plain swap with a friend, so I'm getting it ready to clean it up, make it look a little bit better. It won't be perfect because the doors and stuff on this one, whoever had it before me messed all that up. But anyway, if this helps, give me a thumbs up or just a note. And or if you have a better way of doing this, I'd be glad to listen. So weather's been really crappy here for the last few weeks here in North Alabama. It's I don't know what the day is. It's getting close to June. And it's just been raining for over a week now, and we got probably another week of rain. So maybe in a few weeks, maybe by this weekend, maybe it'd be time to get some batteries burnt. So anyway, Dave here, Fix and Fly RC. Happy flying.